Ladies and gentlemen, I am Yusril and welcome to one of those videos where I fervently hope I'm talking utter bollocks from start to finish. This is Mutsuki. At the moment, she's the Japanese Tier 6 destroyer. At the moment. Come the revamp of the Japanese destroyer line, she's going down to Tier 5, alongside Minakaze. This was probably where she belonged from the start. Her basic gun setup is almost the same as the Kaze sisters, 4 12cm guns, although it should be noted that her reload is actually slower, at 10.8 seconds rather than 10, and thus she has a slightly lower sustained damage per minute output. Her upgraded gun package does match the damage per minute, but she loses half the guns because the Sea Hull only mounts 2 rather than 4, and thus she loses half the Alpha Strike. Given the hit and run nature of Japanese destroyers, it's questionable whether or not this is even a side grade, never mind an upgrade. Her torpedo tubes are also open to question. Mutsuki replaces the 3 dual 533mm launchers with 2 triple 610mm launchers, which means a massively slower reload. The Kaze's launch 5 to her 3, and because the triple launchers cover a wider arc than the doubles, the torpedoes are less focused at range, which makes it less likely that all 6 torpedoes will hit even a battleship. To cap it all, she's also a bit slower than Minakaze, although she's about the same as Kamikaze and Fujin, and she has a mere 700 health more than Minakaze and about the same as Kamikaze. It's little wonder really that Mutsuki is regarded as one of the low points on the Japanese destroyer line. She does have one saving grace, however. While the Kaze sisters have to get close to their targets, Mutsuki's upgraded torpedo, the Type 8 Mod 2, has a maximum range of 10 kilometers. Closer is still better, of course. It means tighter spreads, shorter run times, and less time for the target to do something inconvenient, like remembering what their A and D keys were for. But if picket destroyers, hydroacoustic searches, and patrolling aircraft are making things a bit hot, then Mutsuki has the option to play things a bit safer, stand off, and launch from further away. At the moment. The problem is that according to some leaks coming off the test server, most notably through Game Models 3D, Mutsuki is going to be losing the Type 8 Mod 2. I must emphasise here, this is second-hand information from data mining, and it's as subject to change as anything on a test server, and I really hope it does get changed, because Mutsuki needs those torpedoes. Why? Because her stock torpedoes, the ones she'll be stuck with if this rumour is correct, have a maximum range of 6 kilometers. Yes, that's shorter than Minakaze's range. And yes, her torpedo range is the same as her detection radius, with a concealment camo equipped. I'm ignoring concealment expert here, since the odds of a Mutsuki captain having it, in the normal course of things at least, is, well, it's basically nil, isn't it? That means her stealth launch options are, well, they're not nil, but they're pretty close. If the Kazes have to take a few risks to get their salvos of doom away, Mutsuki is doing the equivalent of walking into any bar within half a mile of Ibrox on a Saturday night and shouting, "Rangers are a load of mummies, boys." So, who'd like a demonstration? The Mutsuki, not the whole walking into a bar and committing suicide thing. Take one Tier 6 Mutsuki on the live server. Pull the torpedoes back to the Type 8 Mod 1s, load up some basic camo, as well as the first 3 upgrade slots. Critically, leave the 4th slot empty. That's Tier 6 plus. Mutsuki won't get it if she's going down to Tier 5. We now have what should be more or less the Tier 5 version of Mutsuki. All that's left to do is hit battle, and apologise preemptively to the 11 people who are about to get saddled with a lemon for a teammate. I'm sorry guys, this is in a good cause. No, really. Okay, I'm not going to show you the first battle. It went badly. Ended with me sinking, having done 330 damage from one gun hit. Wasn't representative. I mean, there's such a thing as pushing things too far. This is going to be an interesting one. It's a 5 through 7 match, so potentially within the bounds for what Mutsuki could see at Tier 5. We've got fairly even mix of battleships. We've got an Atlanta, they've got a Cleveland. However, they've got a Kiev, an Ognivoy, and a Nicholas, all of which are very much destroyer hunters as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to have to watch out for them. It is domination, so we will start the usual way with a run down the western flank to A, make the cap, and then see where we go from there. Destroyers are a smidge imbalanced, if anything. We have got 1, 2, 3 Japanese destroyers and a US destroyer on our side, 2 Russians and an US on the enemy side. I would have been inclined to swap Mutsuki and Ognivoy over, just balance the nations out a bit. I actually thought Wargaming were trying that, but could well be wrong. However, basic game plan to start with. Lock the guns over to the port side, because that's where we first expect to see the enemy, and then just set a reasonably straight course for A. Minikaze is going to pretty much beat us unless I plug in a speed boost, so he can run off and grab the initial cap. Two Brothers, if you haven't seen it for a while, it's had a few changes, most notably courtesy of global warming, or something akin to it. Everything is much, much lower in the water. These islands now are less prone to blocking line of sight. That island there, yeah, that's basically paradise for an Atlanta. Park an Atlanta or a Flint, or even one of the US destroyers behind that, and you can just lob shells straight into A without too much concern. Of course, then they come round the flank and they're very annoyed with you, but that's a problem for later. So, closing in on A, Vodka IT slowed a touch, and we have an enemy in A. We've no detection, so chances are it's a destroyer, which was pretty nice. Well, there's our detection, it's the Kiev. Oh, bollocks. Now, 10-kilometer torpedoes at this point. I would normally follow the Minikaze in, let him make his turn and dump his torps, and then close up myself. And who's firing? Yeah, there's the Mutsuki of Boromir Destroyer. He's put his 10-kilometer torps in the water, and he's got that option at the moment. Instead, I am going to have to close up a bit further. Vodka's jamming the cap, courtesy of being inside the circle, but he's going to have a line of sight problem, by which I mean he's going to get spotted if he's not careful. Checking the minimap, still out of range, but because they're being good enough to keep shooting indiscriminately, we have got a lead on roughly where they are. So we'll close the range down a bit further, coming down to the 6-kilometer mark on the cap point. Turn it down, turn it down. Alright, there we go. Pivot away and put 1 and 2 out. And then turn to run and reload. 1 minute 5 on the reload. Switch back to narrow, and we're detected, and that is very, very bad. Stern to the Kiev, who's running. Need to open up the range rapidly, or this is going to hurt. Run away, wiggle that booty. Kiev's run out of range. Need to make a hard turn to just throw any last firing solutions that the enemy cruisers may have picked up. Torpedoes have, unsurprisingly, hit nothing. We've still got visual on the Kiev. Oh, the Ognivoy's here as well. Ye gods, has the entire enemy destroyer force? No, it hasn't. One of them sneaked round behind us, straight through Suicide Alley. Clever boy, although not quite as clever as he thinks he is, because one of our battleships has just closed to secondary gun range. And I need to jam on the brakes, so I'm going to skid straight out of the cap circle and reset the cap by accident. Whoops, a daisy. Okay, fine. Jam on the power. I've just told the enemy roughly where I am if they're paying attention. Nicholas has gone down, courtesy of Faso, so let's see if we can try to get a line on the... No, we can't. Not with that 0 overhead. Mind you, he is pulling away, and now we're at a bad angle. Well, maybe we can get the Kiev? Maybe. He is fractionally out of range, but if we just walk the range down a smidge... Watch the minimap. You see that outer circle? That's what we're looking to match. And now we're not looking to match at all because the bloody Ognivoy is about to run straight into us. Dump 1. Dump 2, panic spreads. Maybe the Kiev will turn to pursue, maybe he won't. Dump smoke for cover. And again, start wiggling. But because we haven't turned quite far enough, the Ognavoy has still got line of sight, which means he's relaying everything to the rest of the team. There we go. Okay, that's broken line of sight. And luckily, the Russians all missed. Another display of Japanese agility. Are we gonna get lucky? Are we gonna get lucky? Are we gonna get lucky? Oh please, oh please, oh please. Oh yes. Unfortunately, the Atlanta then finishes him, but ooh. Russian destroyers, comrade. Radar's tool of capitalist oppression. I wasn't even aiming for him. Okay, so situation is slightly less awkward at this point. Minikaze is closed into our smoke, using that to advance. We'd better stay out of it, just provide reconnaissance information. There we go, so we have nabbed point A. We're 2-1 up. Our own forces are pushing through Suicide Alley. I'm not sure that's entirely wise, guys, but hey, it didn't work for the last guy. Maybe you'll be able to break that one cruiser that's over there. I don't know. We've still got the Kiev lurking, and he's going to be out for revenge. No, we don't have the Kiev lurking anymore. All their destroyers are dead. Ha 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 ha. Right, so next problem is the Nuremberg. Set narrow spread, and Minikaze has just launched as well. So what we're going to do is wait for the Nuremberg to clear the island. Launch 1, launch 2, break again. Now, we need to be a little careful here, because if he turns away, we're going to run out of range. And if we don't get through this turn before he clears the headland, and those torpedoes then miss, he is going to pick us up on visuals. We're inside his detection, the island is shielding us. Let's just keep turning. Yeah, Nuremberg's turned away, something spooked him. Maybe he saw our torpedoes, maybe he didn't. But that's worked in our favour anyway, since he's now running away and the island's between us. We're safely back out of detection, so we're free to manoeuvre again. Problem is, we're now astern of all the enemy ships. 10-kilometre torpedoes, maybe I could run up to 6.5 and try for a stern chase. 6-kilometre torpedoes, not a frelling hope. However, Nuremberg's in a gunfight with a Fussel. Nuremberg is getting absolutely battered by the Fussel. Such misfortune. And speaking of misfortune, the Cobra MK Mark III just turned out to be rather less than elite. In fact, he turned out to be mostly harmless because he just detonated. Nuremberg's behind the islands. He's now shielded from us, so we've got another opportunity to try to close the range a bit. And you know what? Maybe we'll get some high X in on him. There was just a fraction of a second there. Nope, no shot. Didn't quite have the range. Our Kirov goes down to the Koenig, and we're still closing in to assist on point C. Problem is, there's the Cleveland. Now, this is going to be tricky. The Fussel has really got to kill that Nuremberg, and fast. In fact, I'm going to switch to armor piercing for my next broadsides, because here we go. The game is well and truly afoot. Yoink, and we get a fire to start with. So depending on what's hit that Nuremberg in recent times, maybe, just maybe, we'll get lucky. Armor piercing out. 2 solid hits. Won't bother waiting for the reload. Turn, 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 turn. Turn, wide spread. Cluster 1, cluster 2. Armor piercing again. We'll try for a citadel shot. He torpedo beats his way through, and this is now extremely awkward because his torpedoes will be coming up, and I can't quite... There we go. Pop smoke. 3,000 health. Lost pretty much everything in short order. We're also inside proxy detection, so that is the end of that. If I'd narrow spreaded those torpedoes, maybe we'd have gotten the Nuremberg, but yeah, there was still the problem of the Cleveland, who was closing into detection range. This is the problem with Mutsuki's torps. In order to get an effective shot, you either have to get staggeringly lucky, or you have to close to suicide range. And if the enemy knows how to torpedo beat, and granted I stuffed up a little myself there, I shouldn't have dumped both tubes, maybe I should have used narrow spread instead, or just swung around and tried for the flank shot and thought a little bit further ahead. Oop, there goes our other Mutsuki, who's had no better luck. Then it's very much a one-shot deal. You get enough health for one attack run if you're lucky. And I think we may have just accidentally thrown the game at that point. Oh, bollocks. There is a reason that Japanese stats suddenly go downhill after tier 5, basically, and it's not because the Japanese destroyers are just getting worse, although that doesn't help, it's because everyone else gets very much better, and in particular, the players get much better at dodging torpedoes. Still, someone's got a little bit of a torpedo beat video there, if they're that way inclined. There go the last of the Type 8 Mod 2s, hitting precisely Jack. So, I think we've just about got time for another battle. To illustrate the difference, I'm going to switch over to the Type 8 Mod 2 torpedoes. These are the ones that we've got at the moment, and are allegedly being removed in 5.12. Bit slower, 59 knots, but more damage. Slightly slower reload. 3 seconds on 76 is not something that's noticeable, but critically, the extra 4 kilometers of range. Let's go have us some fun. Again, it's two brothers. Again, it's a 5-7 map. So again, this is potentially the kind of matchup that Mutsuki could have in the 5.12 setup. Slightly friendlier matchmake this time. Minikaze and Kamikaze on the enemy team. Minikaze and Mutsuki, myself, on our team. That Kamikaze, of course, is going to be a problem. Chances are Matze is a veteran player because of the way Kamikaze R was dished out on the European server. There was a very, very limited opportunity to pick it up for cash. Most of us got it through Project R, and there's a high chance that he is actually running a Captain with Concealment Expert, so he will be plugging a 5.4 detection radius. Opposite side of the map this time, but same basic game plan. Hell for Leather 4A. Yes, I picked up Superintendent off that last map. Yes, we somehow won it. Amazingly, I came in second on XP, mostly down to the cap, I suspect. That lucky torpedo into the Ognivoid can't have had too much to do with it. And that was also enough to finish off boot camp for this weekend, so hey, I'm not knocking it. Right, so lock the guns, this time to starboard. Again, most likely direction I'm expecting to see the enemy from. Kick up to just under 41 knots. That's decent, but still a bit slower than the Kaze sisters. And wait for everyone else to get themselves sorted out. Come on, guys, get your backsides in gear. And there's a depressing lack of ships coming this way. Oh, well, I've got the 10-kilometer torpedoes. I can play ninja time if I have to. But if Kami-chan is coming this way, she's going to get first look and probably first shot. However, gun setup is more or less equal. Oh, wait, no, it isn't. Kami has got a slightly faster rate of fire, hasn't she? Okay, right, guns round to full starboard this time. And as before, straight into the cap circle, but then kick off course and start sailing round the edge of the circle, just so we don't blunder bow first into the enemy. And it's that little bit more careful as to how we encounter people. Of course, it doesn't hurt that at this kind of angle I only have to turn through 45 degrees or so to put myself on an exit vector. Aha! There's one destroyer confirmed, 2 destroyers confirmed. Yep, Kami-chan's come this way. Tear-sodding horrific. Right, narrow spread on the torpedoes. Kamikaze is trying to sneak in. Not worth going for it, but while our fighters were stalking her, we can maybe grab the cap. We can certainly tiptoe down into range of that little battleship squadron over there. Miyoko and Kirov on about the same vector and speed. And there's the capture. 11 kilometers. Aha, Scharnhorst, however, has blundered into range. Miyoko's right behind. Miyoko, however, is turning. Yep, you can see the torpedo prediction bearing starting to shift. Not by much, mind you, so we'll dump one and dump two slightly off-angle just in case. Kami-chan, of course, has run herself straight into point A to go for the cap, and whoa, that was close for a moment. Enemy strike wing came down the side, which means that I now have to be extremely careful. They're going for a carrier snipe, which is not a bad idea at this kind of tier, but with only 4 dive bombs, where are his torpedo bombers? Also, his fighters are coming up right behind me, and I should have... Well, I could have slowed down and stopped in the smoke, but that would have been problematic in of itself. Now, the Kirov has turned back across the torpedo track. We might just get lucky here. Come on, baby. Come on, come on. He eats 1. He eats 2. Boom. I assume he knew the torpedoes there. We've also found the rest of the enemy strike wing, so they're definitely going for a CV snipe, which is not a... Okay, this is why 10-kilometer torpedoes can be good. I have no idea what that third torpedo hit. I assume it was... I think there was a Fuso over there as well. Such misfortune. Anyhow, we'll loop around the island, break contact with the planes, because our carrier is legged. In fact, our own carrier fighters have caught the enemy strike wing, so it's good night from them. Toddle around, target the Scharnhorst. We've got a reload, so we'll just kick round, lock the bearing. Do we think Scharnhorst knows what the rudder is for? I don't know, but just in case he does, again, we'll shorten the spread, and almost immediately he starts turning, so yes, he does know what the rudder is for. Bugger. That's wasted a salvo. Fine, turn in again, take a hard starboard this time because I want to cut inside these dive bombers before they spot me. Again, squeak inside, inner circle, 3.1 kilometer air detection, and there we go, nice and safely away. Scharnhorst is in pursuit, but I've got the speed advantage. Oh, I don't believe this. He's crashed. Yeah, he's crashed. He's got to have crashed. Most unlucky crash ever. Will the torpedoes have the range? Maybe. He's just skidding up to power. He's going to eat 1, however. And boomski. That's another 10,000 odd damage, 19 seconds on the reload. This is why 10-kilometer torpedoes are so useful. Even if you miss your initial target, you might just sail on and hit somebody else. Oh wow, once in a battle is rare enough. Twice in 2 launches is... yeah. I should probably go out and buy a lottery ticket. Never mind, let's line up on Scharnhorst again. As before, TDC bearings more or less static, so fire 1, anticipate his evasive, fire 2, and this time TDC bearing is staying reasonably good. Kami-chan's come up behind us. Right, where is she? There she is. Right, lock guns. Guns are completely blindsided at the moment, which is awkward, so gonna have to run away, break contact, and hope that Scharnhorst doesn't realise that I've launched. Kami, of course, will spot those torpedoes, so I imagine we're going to see evasive action from Scharnhorst. We're going to see evasive action from Scharnhorst. We're going to see evasive action from Scharnhorst.
Roger, proceeding to assist you.
I'm not even questioning it at this point. Okay, salvo number 4? Oh yes, and we're still ticking up damage from the flooding, so Scharnhorst has presumably blown her damage control ability somewhere. Let's see. The Milku we could maybe take with guns, but we were taking a hell of a risk to do it. Scharnhorst is... well, we'll put 1 down like so, but that is extremely dicey. Oh, she's got an engine failure. Hoo hoo hoo. Does she not have... I don't think he's got last stand on his captain. Ha! Okay, well, momentum might do the trick, but personally I'm quite content to let the battleships have the kill on that one, and they're going to get it anyway. There we go. Boom! I don't know how many citadels that was, but it was undoubtedly overkill. Okay, so still got Kamikaze to think about, but let's line up on Nugget. Ooh. Those were Kami's torpedoes. Koenig's going down. Texas will kill with secondaries, if not with primaries. Of course, it might just be that, yeah, there we go. Kaiser got the shot in instead. So that basically leaves us with the Nagato, the Kamikaze, who is lurking somewhere around the southwest corner by now, and, well, not a lot else to kill. This is horrendously one-sided, but look at the difference in damage, 98,000. And, well, I've been spotted a couple of times, but I haven't taken any damage yet. I've not had to get within serious gun range of anybody. So, Nagato at this point, too far away and on a bad course. I could close up the range, but that would be risky. What I'm going to do instead is plug in the engine boost and do something that you normally see with US destroyers. Ah, there's Kami-chan. So, cut in slightly, and I'm going to actually abort the maneuver I was planning because, yeah, there we go. There's Kamikaze's torpedoes. 1, 2. Where's salvo number 3? Not sure. Lock on. Yoink, and we'll run one shot at the... Ah, there you are. Clever girl. Not quite clever enough, however. Let's see if I can force you out round in front of my torpedoes. I doubt I will, but you never know. Nope, there we go. So, skidded inside mine, and missed with my first volley. And Kami-chan has actually just got her reload away. Keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. Watch the torpedo beat. There's going to be a third salvo in a second, depending on how Kamikaze triggered things. And I'm getting dangerously close to that Nagato, taking the first serious damage of the game. Taking a bit of a risk here, but again, with the range on these torpedoes, this is a viable shot. Nagato is not really moving fast enough to outrun my torpedoes. So, once we get the reload, if we get the reload before she dies, because she's getting pounded on by the battleships, there we go. Target's turning, but again, put one down and then put two down to anticipate her turn. Then kick starboard, start lining up the next shot. We're just pursuing the Nagato, but we're also going to turn back into A. Ooh, and maybe line up on that carrier. It's not going to matter, however, because that is the end of the round. There's the difference 4 kilometers of torpedo range makes, ladies and gentlemen. 2 games, fairly similar matchups, and, well, yeah. I mean, what else can I say? Mutsuki lives and dies by these 10-kilometer Type 8 Mod 2 torpedoes. If Wargaming are seriously thinking about taking them away, they need to really, really consider what that is going to do to Mutsuki's already middle-of-the-road performance. Ladies and gentlemen, I have been Yuzril. That has been a video that I sincerely hope turns out to be utterly based on misinformation, but just in case it isn't, don't say I didn't tell you so. Ooh, it's Ashigara. My apologies. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, farewell.